Michael,
Tucker.
let's talk about Formula One. So, Formula One is a sport that we both started watching this year.
Yes.
Basically, I want this recording to be something I could have listened to when I first started watching that would have made things make way more sense.
I might not be the person you want on board with this then, but
No, we'll figure it out.
I'm here anyways. Let's go forward.
I think we should really just focus on the current season
Okay.
and just kind of explain it that way.
Well, I mean,
Um,
it is. I should probably mention that I came in right after Monaco. So,
which was a good race.
right. I watched like half of Monaco and I thought, damn, this is a good race. Like half the drivers are spun out or crashed into a wall, and freaking
Yeah.
Raikkonen's dragging his fin all the way to the pits, and
True.
that poor Renault guy is knocked out before the race even really began. Anyway, racing.
Okay, so the F1 season is kind of wonky. Races are usually every other weekend,
Right?
and they kind of take up the entire weekend. Right. So on the Friday before a race, there is a practice session.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, two. Let's start over. So on the weekend of a race, on Friday, there will be two practice sessions.
Okay.
And then the Saturday before a race, there is a practice session and then a qualifying session.
Okay. That makes more sense.
And to be eligible for the race, a driver has to participate in at least one of the three practice sessions.
Okay.
And then qualifying is split up into three qualifying sections. And the way I understand it is you're basically whittling down the pack over the three sessions. So everybody races, or everybody drives during Q1, which is the first qualifying round. And then 16 cars that made it to Q2 take part in Q2, and then 10 cars end up in Q3.
Okay.
And that's how they're kind of seeding the starting positions for the race, which takes place on Sunday.
Right.
So it's not that complicated, really, but jumping into it, it's not explained well to a new viewer. At least not that I found.
No, I agree. I still don't fully understand the method before the race. And I've been watching for like at least a couple races now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's a trend you'll see during this talk is they change the rules like every race. It's like because they had changed the qualifying rules this year and people were not having it at all. And I believe the change they made was they made it so that eliminations were happening as people were doing qualifying laps.
Oh, okay.
So like if you weren't up to a speed, up to a certain lap time, you were cut. And this was happening while it was happening.
Okay. You know, Formula One's still just trying to find its groove in the world. It's a younger sport. It's only been around for, how long has it been around?
I would
A long
say
time.
coming up on 100 years or so.
Damn.
Maybe not that long. Let's see.
I will tell you. Formula One's inaugural season was 1950,
Oh, okay. So not 100 years.
so not 100 years. No.
But it's been around.
It might as well be 100 years.
I believe there were like not Formula One, but the idea of Formula driving had been around before that.
Oh, I think so too, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
actually,
this is not a new idea.
it originated, according to this wonderful thing called the internet,
Oh.
it originated with the European Grand Prix motor racing, which had started in the 1920s and the 1930s.
Okay.
But then this thing called World War II happened. What all that matters is a new agreement for Formula One occurred in 1946, and now Lewis Hamilton has a job. So
what you're saying is all that matters is F1.
yes.
Okay, I agree with you.
Okay.
So that's the very basic structure. I think maybe now would be a good time to go through the driver roster as it is. This might take a while.
This
Uh,
this is the part that kind of blows me away. But
this is the scary part.
yeah,
So let's start at the very back of the pack. Not to be mean or anything. I see on the F1 site there's a Esteban Ocon. I'm not familiar with him. He must be a new.
I don't think I've ever
Oh,
seen.
during the. Oh, so right now I should say there is a summer break happening, which means there hasn't been a race for a while. They're kind of letting the teams rethink things, and the drivers are hanging out on yachts, I guess, because that's what they do.
Yeah, doing Formula One driver things.
Right.
Basically rich tourism. I think there was one
Right.
Instagram post thing of jetpacks. I don't know.
Sick. Was it Roman Grosjean?
No,
No, it wasn't.
no.
So I guess it was announced during the summer break that Esteban Ocon, who is from France, will be joining the Manor team for the rest of the year.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They did get rid of Harianto.
What? Did they
Yeah,
really?
that was the guy who was always running out of money, and they could never get him. Okay, so Ocon is replacing Harianto from now on.
Oh,
Interesting. Okay, so that's another thing that happens is teams kind of switch up all the time.
yeah. Yeah. I didn't fully understand I don't really fully understand how the teams work. It's just kind of. It seems way less permanent than I expected. Well, maybe permanent's
Yeah.
not a wrong. Maybe permanent's the wrong word, but like, I don't. If I was a Formula One driver, I don't think I'd feel comfortable with future prospects. I guess, like, I would
I
be
think what
very, very defensive about my place in it because it seems like for these past couple of races, especially, they've been talking about racers who aren't coming back or like
Right.
who are afraid of losing their job or something. Like I know one of the ones that came up was Kvyat, which
Yeah,
he's polled in the past and stuff like that, and he's worried about
he's
not coming, like not being able to return, and that's like blowing my
right.
mind because I'm from like I watched NASCAR and stuff back in the day, and you always had your same constant drivers. There was always it seemed like
Jeff Gordon.
yeah, it never seemed like it changed. It seemed like you always had Jeff Gordon, Dale
Jeff
Earnhardt
Gordon.
Jr. You got your
Yeah.
Tony Stewart's, your Mark
Yeah.
Martins, and
I wrestled a gator with his niece once.
now that Gator and I are
Anyway,
best friends.
I guess the if I think I have the same thought process as you. To put it simply, I guess it seems like the allegiances aren't there.
Yeah.
Between the driver and their team,
Exactly, yeah.
which is a hard thing to wrap your mind around.
Which,
And
go on, sorry.
I think at the bottom of the pack, that's a money issue because a lot of these are kind of self-funded.
Mhm.
And I think at the top of the pack, it is basically these super prestigious teams just always wanting the best possible talent.
Yeah.
On their team.
Yeah.
And they have the money to throw around to make that happen. So you get crazy switches, which we'll talk about soon, involving Kvyat. So don't worry about Rio Harianto, I guess. He used to race.
R.I.P. Harianto.
I guess before we talk about the drivers, we can just talk about the teams real quick.
Okay.
At the very top, you've got Mercedes. They are like, sports. Give me an equivalent of Mercedes in a different sport. They're like the '90s Chicago Bulls.
They're like I don't know, sports. What are sports?
They're like
the United States at the Olympics.
They're like Return of the King when it was the Oscars. So let's put Mercedes on like the top shelf.
Yeah.
And then the shelf below them would be Red Bull and Ferrari.
Right.
I kind of see them as rivals, not with Mercedes, but with each other.
Right. Yeah, actually, yeah, especially after last week. Or no, not last week, the last race.
8 months ago.
It's been a while. I didn't realize it's been so long since the German Grand, but damn.
Yeah, it's been like a month. It's rough. And then you have I guess Force India, which is a separate thing. They're not associated with any of these. You have Williams, which I believe is associated with Mercedes.
Well, so is Force India. That's the thing. Like, if you look at the names, it's like Force India, Mercedes, Williams, Mercedes.
But that's
MRT
that
Mercedes.
that just means in most cases they're using Mercedes engines. That doesn't necessarily mean there is an involvement between
Okay.
the Mercedes team and those teams. Where there is an involvement is between Red Bull and Toro Rosso because they are the same ownership, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
Okay.
And all I mean by that is like Mercedes wouldn't use like Force India to scout talent, but Red Bull might use Toro Rosso,
Okay.
for example.
Okay.
And then let's see, there's like Renault and there's like Sauber. There are other teams, but they don't really matter. Which is mean,
Poor
but
Haas Ferrari.
oh, I like Haas. Haas is new. That's why I like Haas. Haas is new, and they're also an American team.
Hmm.
Haas is a big name in NASCAR,
hmm hmm
and this is their F1 team. I just think it's cool that they're like this new kid on the block, shaking things up.
Yeah.
You know.
But are they really shaking things up?
Nope.
Oh.
A little bit. I think they're good. They're not terrible.
No.
Anyway. So, okay. So MRT was, I guess, I don't know, the F1 website isn't very clear on this. It shows Rio Haryanto and Esteban Ocon.
Yeah.
Sauber, you've got Marcus Ericsson and Felipe Nasr.
Or as they say or as they say in the broadcast, Felipe Nasser.
Depending on which broadcast. Let's talk about that right now, actually, because that's important.
Tucker, how do you watch F1 racing?
Yeah, okay, so F1 racing is not really broadcast in the US on a very accessible level.
Right.
You kind of have to be part of a cable package that includes it. The cheapest way to do so in the US is through PlayStation Vue,
Really?
which is PlayStation's TV service, which is the sports package, I believe, is $34.99 a month. And that includes access to F1.
Okay.
Through NBC Sports.
Okay. I have access to it through NBC Sports also, but I watch because my family has Xfinity and I've kind of been living off of that. So like maybe it's like a cable provider thing. You should be able to probably get access to NBC Sports through that. And that's how I've been watching it. It doesn't really have like it does I don't think it really archives races because I had to go do a third party to watch Monaco today. But
right.
I was able to go back to see the German Grand Prix through it. And that's how I've been trying to keep up on racing and stuff is through NBC Sports. And it's been pretty reliable on that. And I mean, it's just as easy as having your cable login information. So,
right. But if you don't have a DVR, you're going to run into this problem where they're racing in Austria. So the race happens at like 5 a.m. or something because they broadcast it live. So I believe NBC Sports actually does a repeat airing.
I think they do too.
Same day.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice. Otherwise, it's broadcast in the UK with Sky One. Big races or certain races, I guess, are broadcast just on NBC or the BBC.
Okay.
Or that's how it's been in the past. So there are ways to watch certain races.
But what qualifies as the big races? Or that might be a conversation for another time.
Oh. Okay. All right. So yeah, or you can just go on the internet and download a race because you can do that.
Tucker, are you advocating piracy?
No, I'm not. Wink.
Nudge, nudge.
I'm gonna wink on the microphone. Okay. Then you've got Renault. We're back to the drivers, by the way.
Okay.
Kevin Magnussen and Julian Palmer. Then you got my boys Haas, which is Roman Grosjean, my boy. He's my favorite. Who's your favorite driver?
I don't have one yet.
Okay, that's fair. I think it's good to latch onto a driver if you're starting to watch, just so you can kind of follow them through the process.
Right. It
really helps. That's one of the main reasons Roman Grosjean just seemed like a cool dude, so I just latched onto him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't latch on to Lewis Hamilton because he's not representative of what most drivers go through.
Yeah.
Which means crouching on top of his car after a race with his hands in like a little fetus pose. like kissing his knuckles or whatever he does. We'll get to him. I don't know.
You see,
This.
we'll talk about Hamilton later. I'm not. I kind of like him. I kind of like him the same way I kind of like Kanye West.
But I don't really like Kanye West.
I know.
I've lost the plot. There's too many drivers. Hold on.
Well, okay, we were on Haas, and then we went to Renault.
Okay, let's. Yeah.
There's Sauber Ferrari. All right.
Sauber is Marcus Ericsson and Felipe Nasr.
Yep.
And they are not a good team. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that at this point.
Was it Monaco where they smashed into each other for no reason? I think it was. I think it was.
Only got about halfway through Monaco.
Yeah, it was the second half.
Okay.
There was a turn, and they were like in position 16 and 17 or something stupid, and they just crash into each other because they're trying to take this corner. Like,
to be fair,
was
Monaco seemed like the race where that would happen.
That was a good race.
Those are some scary turns.
I would say if you're looking to get like into F1 and you need like a race from this year to kind of whet your appetite a little, I would say Monaco would be up there.
Yeah. It seemed like
it was an entertaining race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one that I want to go back to.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Sauber. Manor Racing, you got Verline and Ocon replacing Haryanto. And then Renault is Kevin Magnussen, Julian Palmer. And then you got Haas F1, Roman Grosjean, and Esteban Gutierrez. And I like, I'm just going to jump in here. I like Haas because Grosjean and Gutierrez are very professional drivers, it seems to me.
Okay.
They're not flashy, and they kind of, as much as you can work as a team in the sport, I feel like they kind of work as a team, where they're like, through driving, they're encouraging each other to race better instead of like what Lewis Hamilton and Rosberg do to each other on a regular basis.
Truly a bizarro Mercedes.
Exactly. Thank you. Are you saying Grosjean is bizarro Hamilton? Because that explains a whole lot.
It might.
Okay. Awesome. There you go. Okay.
I'm trying to imagine Grosjean like kissing his fists
with a mustache.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, McLaren, Fernando Alonso, who's been in the sport for a really long time.
Yeah.
I like Alonso a lot.
Okay.
He's not doing that well this year, but he feels like kind of like the uncle of F1, where he's like he's been around these tracks a bunch, and he knows what he's doing, and he gets upset at people. Like when the rules change, he's like, "Oh, what is this crap?"
Back in my day.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I like it. And Jenson Button. And then Toro Rosso. Controversially, you've got Danny Kvyat. Kvyat?
Kvyat.
Kvyat.
I think it's Kvyat.
Kvyat.
But I think they just say Kvyat. I think they just say Kvyat. They say Kvyat or something.
Mix. We'll
it's a Hamilton mix.
Force India, you've got Perez and Hulkenberg. The only thing I know about Hulkenberg is he has a sweet name.
Yeah. He comes up a lot while watching races. He's usually doing something in like 11, 12, 10.
He's
somewhere between the 8 and 12 range. You're fine Hulkenberg goofing off.
Because it's important to note, I think, only the top 10 drivers get points.
Right.
So, like, first place gets 25, and then second place gets fewer than that, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So there's this battle to get into the top 10, which is awesome. And there's also this battle to get into the top 3, because then you get to go on the podium at the end of the race
and then you
can shoot champagne at each other.
Yeah, and drink champagne out of a shoe.
That beautiful women hand to you, because this is an old sport. It's traditional.
It's wonderful.
It's something. And along with that, the team gets points also.
Yes.
Which I think is really cool. So, like, the engineers and the pit crew are being rewarded if their driver finishes in the top 10.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like it. And so you have, like, a ranking of drivers, and you have a ranking of teams. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. Williams, you've got Felipe Massa and Valtteri Bottas. Again, these people have cool names. I don't know that much about them.
Yeah, they have points.
Yep.
But
it's like,
they're there.
They're there.
Bottas again is one I recognize that usually winds up in that fight for 10th.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then now we're kind of moving into the names that you should know.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Ferrari, you've got Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen. These are both great drivers.
Yes. Very,
very fun to watch.
Yes.
Both of these people. Räikkönen used to be Grosjean's teammate.
Oh.
So there's bad blood between. No, I don't know. These people I feel like have. It's cool to get to know these kind of top tier drivers just because they have the platform to be in media a lot, so you kind of get a better sense of their personality and stuff because they're like interviewed a lot or they're in commercials or
Yeah. Plus you get like the crazier, like you get they're the ones that are actually fighting for the podium.
Right.
So they have
kind of
these like more intense moments of I don't know.
Passion.
Yeah. Passion.
Driverly passion.
The real fuel of F1 racing.
Then you got Red Bull with Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen.
Man. Last week with Red Bull, not last week. Damn, that was a month ago. German Grand Prix with Red Bull was really, really fun to watch.
Yes.
Anyway.
Right.
Red Bull.
Shall we talk about the elephant in the room, Michael? Or the two elephants in the room?
That's not a nice thing to say about Kvyat. Okay.
Oh, we should talk about that, though, just real quick. So Kvyat was on Red Bull.
Yeah.
And Max Verstappen was in Toro Rosso. And mid-season, they switched, which was kind of this huge event, it felt like, just because it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of seems like it was the right choice.
It's played out.
Turning out.
It looks like it's played out well for Red Bull.
Yeah. Well, Kvyat is having a bad year.
Yeah.
Especially after that split.
Yeah.
Whereas
Verstappen,
he's the babyface assassin. No, yeah, it's kind of sad to watch Kvyat, and it's kind of awesome to watch Verstappen.
Yeah,
if you can remove yourself. Which, if you're listening to this, this doesn't mean anything to you anyway. So, all you need to know is Verstappen is on Red Bull now.
Yeah,
and he does well.
He does pretty damn well.
Okay, Mercedes. You've got in the red corner from Germany. You've got Nico Rosberg. In the blue corner, from the UK, you have Lewis Hamilton. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my favorite thing about F1 right now, is this pairing of drivers.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Actually, I agree. Like, because you were saying before how you think, like, Lewis Hamilton's a bad guy to latch onto and watch. I think the Hamilton and Rosberg stuff is maybe one of the funnest parts of it so far.
Absolutely.
Because they're like...
It's fascinating.
Yeah, because you've got these, like, two very individualistic, hot-headed drivers that are...
Right. They both want to be number one.
Yeah, and they're both very capable of that.
Right.
And... they're teammates, which adds this weird dynamic to it because you'd think they'd be friendly with each other, but instead they're like pushing each other off the track here or there and
crashing into each other. Yeah, like I think you could make the case for either of these drivers being the best driver in the sport right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like removed from everyone else. Like I don't think you could make the argument that whole cloth, any other driver is as good as Lewis Hamilton or Nico Rosberg. They have moments where they're shown up,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
awesome, where some other driver does better than them in a race. But I think overall, these two are unbeatable. So to have them fighting each other every race is, you can't gin this up. It feels like somebody wrote this up for like, how do we get more viewers? How do we get people in seats? But it's awesome.
yeah. Agreed.
I think there will be possibly a movie about Lewis Hamilton made at some point.
Yeah, probably.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Who would you cast as Nico Rosberg?
Roman Grosjean. I don't know. Nico Rosberg. Well, yeah, we should talk about their personalities. Nico is very icy.
Yes.
He's very cool.
I don't know.
Sometimes, most of the time.
He seems like he's been kind of letting things get to him a little more lately, but
I know, it's awesome. You're starting to see like the seams start to tear a little bit on Rosberg.
it's
It's so good.
I'm kind of bummed about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's
'Cause I
like
thought-
you see, because it used to be like this season was like Rosberg's season, and
Yeah.
he's been missing podiums and stuff now, and
Right. Because Lewis has overtaken him in points,
Yes.
which was something big that happened recently.
yes,
So Hamilton's in first, Rosberg's in second.
yeah, which
Which is awesome because Rosberg has to fight his way back up now. Oh,
but can he do it though?
excited.
That's
I don't know.
It's-
Maybe not.
I'm kind of spooked. I want to see
It's
Rosberg
awesome.
pass by Hamilton just for the sake of the sport, and
Right. I don't know. It's really, it's a cool character study. It makes for really cool racing. Just this whole situation is awesome.
yeah,
It would be a huge bummer if Lewis Hamilton was just like the best driver, and because in a race that doesn't make for good television because it'll just be Hamilton out by 10, 15 seconds or more, and then the rest of the pack.
which is what it's been lately though,
right.
and
Like they didn't show Hamilton much at all the last race because he was just
he's just like cruising in the front.
in front.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Which in itself is really awesome because like he has to be on it for 2 hours, and he is, and they don't even need to mention it because it's just like he's just racing perfectly or close to it. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Michael, are you there?
yeah, I'm here. One
Michael?
sec.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so
What's up?
what's up?
Do you want to talk about the tracks?
Oh, we could. I feel like that's a lot to bite into, but yeah.
Well, let's just give a. How about maybe the main tracks to watch for?
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know what the main tracks really are. I know Monaco is
Let me
one of the
tell
big
you.
ones.
Yeah, it's mostly the historical ones that seem to be the main focus point. So you've got Monaco, which, Iron Man 2.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Baku was new this year.
Baku was new this year. Well done, Baku.
I really liked Baku. I thought that was a cool race or a cool track.
Yeah.
It's very like tight street circuit type thing.
I think a lot of the drivers didn't really know how to handle the track, though, so the race itself was kind of more hesitant, I guess.
Yeah, I was very cautious.
Yeah.
But I think next year that's going to be a really cool race. Or I hope so. The one that we're going to be getting into coming off of break is Spa,
Right.
which is in Belgium, and that's another very famous, very prestigious race. So that'll be a really good one to jump in on, I think. Let's see.
The German
There's
Grand
one in
Prix, wasn't that a big deal because they were coming back to this track?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know. This is all in like French or something stupid.
Stupid
Shoot.
French. Who speaks French?
Not I, sir.
Qui parle français? Qui parle français?
We have a race here in the U.S., but I don't think it's like.
I don't think it's a big deal.
No, I don't think so either.
But I will tell you, if you wanted some live Formula One action and you go see this race,
Woo!
isn't it in Houston? It's Houston, I think.
Yes,
In
it's definitely in
Houston.
Texas. Yeah.
You can hit up both this race and the post show featuring Taylor Swift
T Swift.
and what I think might be her only major American concert this year.
She loves F1. And that's another really cool thing is when you watch F1, they always have like a celebrity there. And it's like, oh, it's George Lucas.
In the German Grand Prix, it was freaking Lincoln Park.
Yeah, they're just like sitting in a booth somewhere.
Yeah,
like, oh, hey.
and like they had this German reporter come up and ask, "Well, how do you think your luck changed now that Lincoln Park's here?" or something like that.
Ouch.
It was so strange.
On the page for the U.S. Grand Prix, there's a picture of Lewis Hamilton in a cowboy hat. So there you go. It's really good. Yeah, it's. I think the first year you watch F1, you don't need to know the tracks really. I think that's something that, even I don't think you would pick up on all the cool info just watching the race. I think you would have to dig into that yourself.
I mean, they try to talk about it a bit here and there, like during the announcements and stuff. Like, oh, we're back at Hockenheim or something.
Hockenheim ring. Yeah.
And Nico, will Rosberg bring home the the cup at his home track or something? And
right,
like they talk about
maybe
that,
I don't know.
Which is another thing. Like, how does the national identity really play into these these races too?
Right.
But
because like when in the UK, when they had the race in the UK, Rosberg got booed.
Yeah,
which was crazy. And then when they went to Germany, Hamilton got booed, but not as much.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Which is another thing why the whole Hamilton situation, I know you don't like him, but he seems like he's really good with fans and stuff.
No, yeah, he's like a superstar.
Yeah. Like he seemed like the kind of personality I'd want trying to gun it for first.
Oh, I don't know. I guess
he seems like
he doesn't. I want him more like salt of the earth, like fighting spirit, but instead he just seems like your stereotypical like playboy F1 racer. Like,
yeah, but I feel I feel like he fights for that though. Like he is this huge personality, and because of that, he's going to go out and be this like self-centered race for yourself kind of guy.
I suppose.
Which is also what I see in Rosberg, but in a more subtle way. And it's like that's a part of why I think the whole Mercedes dynamic is so cool. Because they are definitely like they're on the same team, but
it doesn't seem like they're like two sides of the same coin, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rosberg just seems like I think it's just the way they're portrayed, but it just seems like Rosberg is like in it for the racing, and Hamilton isn't, which is stupid because obviously Hamilton's in it for the racing because he's like the best at it, and he gets super upset when he's not doing well. So
yeah, oh yeah, he totally does.
Yeah, it's crazy. But then when he wins, he's like, "Oh, you guys are so great, team. Oi, it's the best team I'll ever had.
Oh, you guys are great. I gotta go hug y'all.
Justin Bieber. Oh, yeah, I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, Michael, is there anything you want to cover that is like confusing or that you had a hard time understanding or anything like that?
Well, I think at first
so I probably won't know.
I think because I think we've gone through a lot of what was really kind of hard for me at first. There was like the way the teams work kind of threw me off because it seemed less like it was a team situation and more like everyone's racing for themselves They just happen to
Right.
carry a logo on their car or something.
Right.
What baffles the other thing that baffles me is how Mercedes is doing so well.
That's a really good point because people will bring up the argument. It's just they have better cars.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that. I think that's a part of it,
I do too.
but I think it's also because Rosberg and Hamilton are two very, very talented drivers.
True. I guess it's important to note that F1 basically signifies a very strict set of standards that all the cars are adhering to.
Yeah,
So,
that was actually another question that I had. Like, is it really that these Mercedes cars are just that good? Because like, how strict are they about that? I know in like NASCAR, it's strict enough to the point that they're all the same car with just a different like
yeah,
little things that don't even really matter.
right. They're stock cars.
Yeah,
They're all stock, right? But the way I understand it, F1 is like, oh, your front wing has to be this length and it has to fit these dimensions.
yeah,
And on for all the parts. But the way they're tuned and the engine and all that stuff is kind of up to the team. So there is kind of a range where um, the team is able to work within that range to get better performance out of the car.
okay,
And they do. I think if you put a Mercedes car against like a Sauber car in just like a drag race with the same driver, I think Mercedes would win every single time.
yeah. No, I agree with that.
Which is frustrating in a sense because it's not a level playing field like you might want, but is any sport a level
Right.
playing
But then
field?
I
I
mean
don't
it's
know.
like you throw in another group, like you throw in a team like Ferrari, who are like this legacy team who know how to make good vehicles to the point they're like world
I
renowned.
guess.
And why is it that a company like Ferrari can't match Mercedes?
That's awesome though, because there's like this rivalry between these two age-old companies.
Right. And it's really
And I
cool,
like an
but I
under
mean it's like I don't understand how Mercedes can beat out Ferrari this much. Like, cuz I guess
right.
just coming in you think, "Oh, Ferrari, they make these fast, sexy sports cars with Italian accents. Oh,
Right.
they should be dominating." Because they're also like here in America, you're real like you're the image of F1 racing. It's limited, but it's like in the form of maybe as a kid you see the Ferrari F1 Lego or something because Ferrari had to deal with
Yay.
Legos, and so it's like your face, like the face you put on F1 racing is Ferrari because they advertise that legacy more than maybe Mercedes does. So then
Yeah.
like you jump into this and suddenly Mercedes is just beating the shit out of Ferrari.
All the time. Yeah, it's weird. It's like it's something you have to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, when I watch this race, Mercedes is probably going to win.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's not it's not like I just think that's like a confluence of a bunch of different factors
Yeah.
where they've got an excellent team, they've got the best drivers in the game. Everything's just going really well for them. And I think going through the rest of the season or next year, I think that could change.
I hope it does.
Yeah.
Red Bull was
Yeah.
looking real good at Germany,
Yeah.
and I'm really
Right.
pulling for them to shake things up a bit more
Yeah.
with
Me
Mix.
too. Because it's very rare to have both Mercedes out in front and then the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
At most, you're going to have like one of them out front, and then whoever's like in second is fighting for that position.
Yeah.
Which is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think maybe we should just go through kind of what happens during a race, some of the stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of sense just looking at it from the outside in. So before the race, they do a lap, which is not part of the race.
Right.
Or it is part of the race, but it doesn't count for anything because they have to stay within the same order. And this is done basically to get the car ready to go. They do a lot of things where if you see them move their steering wheel back and forth, they're just warming up their tires. They're warming up their brakes by braking really hard. This is just getting them ready to race. And that happens. And then they all line up. and it's all dramatic and the noise is going, and then there's lights, and when the lights go out, they start.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're watching it on TV, you hear all the commentators just have like 1,000 orgasms at once as they're all yelling.
And we're
what's happening.
off, Baku 2016.
I was talking more about how they're like, and then there's like a billion things happening.
Oh, did you see Red Bull? They're going for it. Oh, they didn't make it. Oh, they made it. Oh.
The very start of the race is like where 90% of the stuff happens, it seems like. They'll usually do like a replay a couple laps in of the start just so you can see everything that's happening. Because people are having good starts, people are having bad starts, people are overtaking people.
Sometimes someone's pod racer engines, the couplings go out and they shoot off into the sides, and the guy's like, Pudo!
That happens sometimes.
Poor Ben Quadraneros.
Nerd.
Oh.
Oh. And then they're racing. And there's a lot of rules about how a race happens.
They're confusing.
Yeah, it's hard to know where to start.
Yeah.
So the driver can talk to their team.
Yes.
And through the season, a lot of that was very strict. Like you couldn't talk at all about race strategy.
Right.
Because what they wanted was the driver to be
in charge. The driver was driving.
Right.
I remember that because I don't remember who it was, but someone important got knocked out.
Rosberg.
Oh, it was Rosberg?
Yeah, he got a tip from his team, and they knocked him like it was either like position or like a second penalty.
I think
like
it was a second penalty, but
something.
that second penalty was enough to knock him out of position.
Right.
Which that surprised.
It's crazy.
And like the rules around that and stuff too are like moving around, and
it's very liquid, and the drivers you can tell they're frustrated by it.
Yeah. Because it's like there was like the one race I was watching, I don't remember which one it was, but they kept trying to talk to Hamilton about like a problem with his car, and they couldn't say anything like substantial about it. Just like, and in
my opinion, you should be able to tell your driver that something with their car is wrong. Like if your brakes go out, it's important to know that, not just for you, but for
every other car,
everyone in the race.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if the leader goes out, he might take like a couple others with him, or like that. Yeah.
It's weird. It sometimes feels like the people in charge of the sport don't really know what they're doing.
Maybe.
But that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
The tires are going to be real big next year.
I don't get that. That's another thing I don't get. The whole, he went with the super softs. Why did he go to super softs?
Oh my God. We have to talk about tire strategy. I forgot. Okay, so I'm going to get some info just so I know I'm not like completely making stuff up.
Okay.
So a big part of strategy in Formula One is tires. And because it's F1, you have to spell it Tyre.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, the pit stops in the sport are like the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's like you're in and you're out in like seconds.
Like that.
It's
like,
so cool.
Literally like that. Like I'm in, now I'm out.
Yeah.
And they have new tires. They have 4 new tires on their car. It's crazy.
Alonso into the super softs.
Yes.
Hulkenberg hasn't gone to the pits yet. Let's remember that.
So let's say most races are around 60 laps long.
Yeah, 60, 70.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Right. So a big part of the strategy is whether to pit 2 times or once in order to change tires. And the commentators will talk about that a lot. They'll say, oh, he's going for a 2-stop strategy. 2 pit. The tires basically vary in how soft they are. Or soft is maybe not the right word. How, like, spongy? I don't know. I can't think of the right word. Anyway.
Spongy is a good word.
Like, the ultra softs, they're not going to last very long.
Yeah.
Tire degradation is a huge issue. So, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be totally wrong about this, a lot of racers will start out on something like the ultra soft to make sure their start is good.
Mm-hmm.
to make sure they're in a good position, and then they will transition to a harder tire later in the race. And this has to do with weather, with track temperature, with position.
There's so
Lots
much
of strategy.
like detail that goes into that thought. Like, oh, it's been rainy here, but it's a dry day, but the ground might be wet, so we have to go with I don't even know what.
The wet tires.
Yeah.
They have specific wet tires. And I think you have to use the wet tires. I think that's like a relegated thing.
Okay.
I don't think you choose whether you're using those or not. Maybe you do. I don't know. I'm sorry, I failed you. What was I gonna say? Even stuff like there's gas in the car, so as the race goes on, the car becomes lighter because you're using that gasoline or petrol. So that affects tire strategy. Like there's all these thousands of variables, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to understand that.
Right.
I have basically no grasp on it. But once you start to understand the very basic themes you're seeing over and over again, like the basic strategies, it's really fun to keep track of that.
Yeah.
If only because it kind of ties you into what's going on in the race a little bit more.
And you can be like, ooh, Hulkenberg not going into the pit. You're bold. Bold.
Right, because somebody's tire exploded.
Oh, did they?
During a race. It was a couple of races ago, so Pirelli makes all the tires.
Yeah.
And Pirelli has guidelines about how long you should race on a tire. And I think the max is like mix. I think the mix is like, I want to say like 40 laps or something.
Okay.
And he was not at the max and the mix, and his tire exploded, and he was out of the race. And there was all this controversy, like, Pirelli, what are you doing? And Pirelli was like, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. It was something on the track. There was like debris or something. But yeah, so just you could get something out of each race just focusing on the tires, which is awesome.
Yeah. Which is crazy, but it was a hard thing. That was another hard thing to like get into because people are like talking about, oh, he wants the super softs or something. It's like I had no idea what the hell you were talking about. It's a tire.
You're not going to learn that just watching the race, I don't think.
No. Well, I mean, actually, I started picking up on it a bit more through the race, watching it. But I mean, it's still like I'm not sure when you would use which ones.
Right. It's like watching somebody play chess really well, where you're like, okay, I kind of understand what they're doing, but like the thought process behind it, it's really hard to get a grasp on. I think, anyway.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. And then like just the basic act of racing. Like there are rules for how you can pass a car, which is that the person in front can swerve to block you.
Yeah.
But they can only do so once.
Wait, really?
In a passing attempt. Yeah, you can't swerve back the other way.
Interesting.
So if Hamilton's in front and Rosberg's behind and Rosberg tries to overtake on the left, Hamilton can swerve left, but he can't go back right to try to block again. So Rosberg could go that way.
So you can like fake him out though, and then, well.
I don't know. I don't know enough to say on that one. Maybe you could. It's not that easy to overtake though. In general.
Yeah.
Because the car behind is always at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because of the way the wind is hitting it and the tires. There's all kinds of things that make it advantageous to be in front. Which is not how I understood racing going in. I always thought you wanted to be behind so you got the slipstream and everything. But maybe that's just in different types of racing. I don't know.
Definitely that way in go-karts.
There you go.
Parallels. See, these are the parallels you draw.
What was I going to say? Oh, so the cars have this thing built in which facilitates overtaking, and it's called DRS. And the way this works is, this is another thing that's not explained very well, but is kind of key to understanding what's happening, is there are sections of the track where you can use DRS, and it's basically a turbo boost. And these are mostly long straights where they anticipate overtaking. And the rule I can't speak to is if you can use DRS when you're in front of a different car. I think you can only use it if you're behind and you're attempting to overtake another car.
Okay.
That would make sense, right? If they're trying to facilitate overtaking, they wouldn't want the car out front to boost.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you would handle that if you were an official.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm not the one to ask about that.
Okay, but that's what DRS is.
Okay.
Anyway, it's basically a turbo boost that the car builds up over time. Like when they're braking, it's building up this energy reserve, and then they're able to use that on straights to overtake.
F1 racing. It's basically a video game.
It's basically Wipeout XL.
Bruh.
God, I wish. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. I can't wait. Trying to think what else happens in a race that's confusing.
There are signs that say "Well done, Baku," and you have to figure out
pretty confusing.
Why the city is congratulating itself.
No, it's like a steak.
Oh, well done, Baku.
Yeah.
I take my Baku's medium rare, please. Thank you.
What do you actually take your steak? Like if you're going to a fancy restaurant, you're gonna have a steak.
I usually ask the person next to me what they get and then do that.
Lame.
I don't steak a lot.
I don't either. What about a hamburger?
Hamburger usually
like a really nice cheeseburger.
Usually go medium. Medium to well done. Medium to well done. Somewhere in that.
I used to get in that range, but I've moved away from well done. Towards medium.
Okay.
Yeah. I like a good medium cheeseburger.
A little bit of red, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, like I don't want it bleeding onto my plate, but you want it pink in the middle.
Yeah, I can respect that.
Yeah. I hate when the bun is too big for the burger, and then you just have to bite into bun to get to the burger. You know what I'm saying?
I do. How do you think Lewis Hamilton takes his burgers? I feel like he's a medium rare with a glass of Chianti kind of guy.
I think he takes one bite of it and then sets it down and then goes and finds a completely new burger and takes like a bite of that and then drinks champagne and then jumps into like a swimming pool full of women. And then Rosberg is there and he's like oiling up to give like Grosjean a back rub. I think is what probably happens, Michael.
Tucker, where'd you find my fan fiction? This is serious. That was supposed to be private.
I just want to talk about Grosjean for a little bit here.
Okay. End on a Grosjean note.
Yeah.
Good Jean.
Oh, Road Grosjean? Yeah. He's dreamy. He's got like arms that could hold you, you know? He's just
I don't know, because I never see him on the podium. Oh.
He used to. I don't think Haas is in a position to get racers onto the podium right now.
See, that was another thing that kind of threw me off, because I like glanced at like previous podiums and track records and stuff, and there are names there that aren't popping up there anymore.
Right.
But there's still race, like in the races and stuff, like Alonso and
Yeah. And that's interesting, I think. I think it's a young man's sport,
but Hamilton's been there for a while now too, though.
He has. He's in his 30s, which surprised me.
Yeah.
You have racers coming in who are 18.
Yeah.
Like 17, 18, 19. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know that enough about the history of it or the sport to say why something like that would be generally. Nerves? I don't know. Like Alonso, I don't think he'll ever.
I don't think he's going to get up there again.
Yeah, I don't. But it's fun to watch him race, so it's not like I don't want him in there or anything. I don't know. It's just really interesting to me that there's 20-something racers and only 10 of them get points. And there's all these fights happening, but it seems like it just sometimes feels like half the racers don't matter.
Yeah, sometimes.
Which is kind of a weird thing.
Maybe they just need to get good.
I guess.
Okay, anyway. Do.
Right. And that was, hey, if we said anything wrong, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, please do.
We are not we're not experts. We're just watching this sport because it's fun to watch and talk about, and hopefully some of this was helpful to you, the listener.
Thank you, listener. We love you. Insert listener name here.
Now give me, as we close out, give me your best mix.
Mix. It's hammer time mix.
It's time to bit mix.